Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Pell, and this is once again coming from my white room. Now, today I'm reviewing for you guys X-Men Days of Future Class. So, I guess if you have not seen the past X-Men films, see the X-Men trilogy, X-Men Origins Wolverine, or the Wolverine, you might be slightly lost in watching this film because in the movie they use a lot of the background clips to kind of inform actions of some of the characters. So, know that. I will be touching on some spoiler-esque bits in this review towards the end. I will inform you when that is about to happen, so just keep that in mind. Getting into the review aspect of this, the story essentially starts out in the future. We see the destruction of the world is being run by these sentinel beings which are enslaving mutants and humans who are assisting mutants, and it's just a very bad situation for our X-Men heroes. And we see Professor X and Magneto aligned, and they are assisted by a variety of X-Men, some of which I know, some of which I don't recognize at all. Their mission or goal is essentially to send Logan, or Wolverine's mind, back into the 1970s, 10 years after the events of Future Class, and have him warn and change the future so that this Sentinel-esque future never happens. And the way that this happens, it's quickly explained, is that Mystique ends up killing Peter Dinklage's character because he is the one creating these Sentinel beings, and he is the one funding and trying to start up the Sentinel program. And so she believed with him out of the picture, the program would cease to exist and not be an issue anymore, and it ended up going the exact opposite because she was captured, and they were able to use her DNA to create Sentinels, which could modify their physique to find a strategic way to defeat any mutant that they faced. So Logan's goal, once he's back in the 70s, is to track down Professor X and Magneto and then whatever mutants he has assisting him, and use them to try to stop Mystique from doing this plan. Obviously, it's a lot more complicated. Things get a lot more complicated than this, but that is essentially our story, and that was more or less my slight issue with it, is that it was kind of really simplistic. You send Logan back in time because there's a bad future happening and he's supposed to change it. And that's essentially all there is to the story, and it just kind of bugged me. I kept waiting while I was watching the movie for something, like some big twist or some big event to occur, and I looked at my watch and I saw there was less than an hour left in the movie, and I figured, okay, well, it's now or never, and it never really happened. So it was kind of a bummer for me in that respect. I really did like the idea of mixing the old and new characters, as in the old characters from the original X-Men trilogy and the new ones from First Class. I thought that they kind of bounced off each other fairly well, especially the interaction between both old and new Charles Xaviers. I thought that was really interesting scene. It's shown in the trailer, so you know that it's coming at some point. The fight scenes, especially the ones in the future, are also really, really neat to see because we get to really see all these mutant powers exhibited to their fullest extent. While in the past, there's not really any major fight scenes which happen between the mutants themselves. It's really just kind of a bickering match between Charles and Magneto. That was something else which kind of bugged me. Magneto gets to show off his metal bending powers, Charles uses his mind stuff, Beast goes beast mode, and Mystique goes transformative mode. That's really the only actual powers that we see in the past timeline, and none of them really fight each other, and it's kind of disappointing in that respect. I did also like the use of the old footage that they used. They used footage from the original trilogy and from X-Men Origins Wolverine. I did not see any footage from the Wolverine, the newest Wolverine movie that came out last year, but they used everything else because it all kind of informed and led up to the events taking place at this moment. The interactions between all of the characters was really interesting. I like to see Logan deal with a younger Professor X when he has his old, informed ways of thinking, and also having to really just deal with this stubborn guy who has lost all hope in humanity and himself. I just thought it was a really interesting thing. And then also his interactions with a young Eric are also really cool to see. In terms of enjoyment, I had fun watching it, I suppose. It looked nice. It was a cool idea of a movie, but I honestly found myself kind of bored through a fair amount of it. I mean, it seemed like it was consistently trying to set up something, like I said before, like a twist or some big moment which I was going to be like, this is amazing, and it never really happened. It was kind of predictable, honestly, towards the end. I'll talk about the ending momentarily, but it just kind of didn't satisfy me or live up to my expectations, I suppose. I'm positive that there's going to be a third one in a few years because the ending scene kind of hints at that, sort of. I have no idea what the ending cutscene is about or who it is displaying. I know nothing of X-Men lore, honestly, besides the basic concepts and characters. I almost guarantee there will be something to tie up this trilogy-esque experience that they've created, but I have no idea what it'll be about. That's my general thoughts on the film. Leave your thoughts on X-Men Days of Future Past down in the comments down here. Did you love it more than I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. So, with that said, I'm going to get into spoiler-esque territory now, so just know that. Keep in mind that I'm going to spoil things at this point in time. So, can I just touch on the end of the movie itself, because that's all I really want to get into with this. We have Magneto. He's lifted up this huge stadium. He has surrounded the White House. He has ripped the president's secret hiding place from the White House and is about to kill him and all of his Secret Service and Peter Dinklage and whoever. And then Mystique, she comes out and she is pretending to be the president, and she ends up shooting Eric through like the side of the neck. I almost thought they were going to kill off Magneto at this point. I would have been really kind of upset with that, honestly. Although it would have been the twist I was waiting for. And then obviously she chooses not to kill off Peter Dinklage, and everything goes happy days for the future-esque bit, because Logan, he's drowning in a river. He was very easily defeated by Magneto, and that kind of annoyed me, to be honest. That would have been a cool fight to see, Magneto versus Wolverine. I felt like this older version of Wolverine would have been able to take down Magneto at this point, but Magneto done in about like a minute. And it just kind of bugged me. And then, obviously, President Liz, Sentinel program shut down, and Peter Dinklage is arrested, and if we don't really have to deal with him anymore. Back to the future now. Logan wakes up in the academy. Everything's happy. Everyone's alive and teaching, and Professor X is there, and he remembers the events that happened before Logan woke up, and they start to chat. He sees Jean alive, he sees Cyclops alive, he sees Beast, he sees everyone from the original movies. So my question is, did the movies not happen now? Maybe? I don't know. Because it seems like none of the events happened in the movies now. I don't know what's happening. I don't like time travel when they don't do it right. I'll just be interested to see if this affects the third Wolverine film in any way, because in the second one, he was essentially on his own. The Academy was shut down, and he was one of the only mutants really surviving out in the wilderness on his own. So I'll be curious to see if anything changes in that regard. But yeah, then it more or less ends. We don't really see what happens with Magneto. I'm assuming he's still an opposing force in some regard, but hard to say at this point. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the ending to the film. If you saw the movie, let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments, and I would love to hear them and discuss it with you. Maybe you were a huge fan of this movie, or maybe you thought it was the best movie ever in the X-Men trilogy, or maybe you agree with me and didn't think it was as hyped up as it was or should have been. Let me know, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. Make sure to go buy my short story down in the description down here. There will be a link to the page to buy it on. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.